all around the world. Today I'm going to take you on a wildlife tour of Asia, including India, China, Cambodia, Pakistan, and Nepal, all without ever leaving the Bronx. We begin our trip by crossing over the Bronx River. Thousands of commuters cross this waterway every day, but underneath the highways and our elevated tracks, the river still rushes along, providing a habitat for ducks, turtles, fish, and migrating birds. Whether it's the Bronx River in New York or the Irrawaddy River half a world away in Asia, rivers and streams provide vital resources for wildlife everywhere. And as we enter into our first exhibit, you can't really see anything. I'm just kidding. Well, you can see a little baby deer in the back behind those 3 trees. That little deer is a Barasinga deer. Barasinga means 12-tined in Hindi, and when we catch up to some of the adults later, you're going to see that the male deer have 12 to 14 tines on their antlers. Also, you're getting a look at some of India's national bird, the peafowl. Only the males are called peacocks. The females are actually called peahens. The males are the more brightly colored, and the females are the duller shades. The males have those long, colorful peacock feathers, and they're not actually tail feathers, they're back feathers. And the males use their shorter tail feathers to prop up those long, colorful back feathers while they're displaying in order to catch a mate during the mating season.
For like 20 seconds.
As we approach these small exhibit huts, we're going to see some of our Indian muntjac deer. They have special scent glands located near their eyes, which the males use to mark their territory. Believe it or not, this small deer is fully grown. He's never going to get any bigger.
Where?
The small exhibit huts that you're seeing there are there for a very specific reason. They represent a very important conservation story concerning the Barasinga deer that we just saw.
In 1970, there were estimated to be only 66 of the Barasinga deer remaining in central India. But this population was saved by the cooperation of the local Indian community. Like the shacks you see here, there were many small farms using space in and around India's Kanha National Park. These people were coming into contact with the deer and the tigers that were also living there. Through cooperation with the Indian government, local communities agreed to relocate their villages. By moving, the farmers still had land to farm, but the tigers and their prey got more room to roam.
Good. How serendipitous.
Good story. I want to keep riding here a minute.
I think
We all
I
know that a
learned
species
something.
that no longer exists is called extinct, like the dinosaurs or the dodo. The next species we're going to be seeing was on the verge of extinction. In fact, the Mongolian wild horse, or Przewalski's horse, was extinct in nature, meaning they could only be found in captivity. Recently, however, there have been reintroductions of the Mongolian wild horse into areas of Mongolia and China from North American and Asian zoos. You might notice that the Przewalski's horse has a slightly different appearance from the domestic horse you might be a little bit more familiar with. They have a stockier build, shorter legs, and an erect mane that's missing the forelock, or the pieces of the mane that falls over the forehead, like bangs. So they don't have bangs, they're just rock a different hairstyle, I guess. Captive breeding of these animals started in 1901 with a group of 28 horses. The Bronx Zoo received our first animals in 1902, and we've maintained our herd ever since then.
Is that the animal you're waiting on to feed Riley to?
Now I have a little bit more information on the Mongolian wild horse for you. It's going to answer some of your questions, including why is it called the Przewalski's horse, and is she even pronouncing that correctly?
The first accounts of Mongolian wild horses come from rock engravings, paintings, and even cave drawings that date back more than 20,000 years. And the first written accounts were from Tibet, sometime around 900 AD. But these horses remained largely unknown and unnamed to the Western world for many years. During an expedition to Central Asia in 1879, a famous Russian explorer and naturalist, Colonel Nikolai Przewalski, encountered the horse in western Mongolia. Because of his discovery, this species is also known as Przewalski's horse.
Keep it down.
Well, look at that. It's just some more narcissism like most things that are named after people are all about. And you know, I think I pronounced it okay. Przewalski, whatever. Moving on from that, I digress. Though our researchers sometimes have trouble pinpointing the animals they want to study in the wild, both Andrew and I are here to help you locate the animals you want to see on our trip today, even if they're not in plain sight. You just want to put yourself in their hooves, or paws, or feet, depending on what animal we happen to be looking for. Where would you go today if you wanted to find maybe a quiet place to rest, a shady spot out of the sun, or even just a little bit of quiet grazing time. As we enter our next exhibit, we're on the lookout for some brow antlered deer, and they're front and center looking right at us. These brow antlered deer get their name from the look of the male deer's antlers that look like big eyebrows coming out of their foreheads. It's a ladies' day out, so you're not going to get to see those antlers.
Just drove to Vermont for this shit.
Currently classified as vulnerable, this species is continuing to lose their wild
Hi, Danny
speed.
boy.
Vermont?
In many areas, they have to resort to feeding on crops as their wild lands have been taken over for farming.
Hello, dear.
Towards the back of the exhibit, you might get a glimpse of some of our gaur, the world's largest wild cattle in the world. They can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, as much as a small car.
Oh,
Males can be 10 feet long and 6 feet tall.
all the way back there. You
With
see
their
him?
large thighs and
yeah.
impressive horns, a male gaur can fight off just about anything, even a tiger. The biggest threats facing this species today is the loss of their Asian habitat and the diseases they can catch from domestic cattle. And I promise we're going to get a closer look at these gaur as we go around the bend. So we help our gaur and our brown-eared deer and lots of other endangered species at the zoo by participating in species survival plans with other zoos around the country.
Here at the zoo, we help gaur and brow antlered deer and many other species by participating in cooperative zoo management programs called species survival plans. The name says it all. The plans aim to help these animals survive. Zoos across the country work together to maintain genetically diverse populations of rare and endangered species.
There's a highway.
It's easy to forget that the Bronx Zoo sits in the heart of an urban environment, but the noise you hear now is traffic on the Bronx River Parkway. This big fence you see in front of you is used to reduce the noise of city traffic. Now as we round this next corner, I'm going to ask everyone has to remain seated because we're on the lookout for a tiger. Tiger stripes provide excellent camouflage in the wild, and even professional researchers have trouble spotting them.
You want to lessen the noise from the city traffic? Be quiet.
This is train 3 and block 4.
Oh my god, we got a break in. It's gonna break down. Velociraptor on the loose.
We got a loose tiger.
Don't say that.
Velociraptor.
I will look for a wallet.
But now look, if we come off.
This is Yuri. He's our Siberian or Amur tiger. He's about 5 years old and weighs about 350 pounds. Tigers eat a variety of prey in the wild, but they do prefer wild pigs and medium-sized deer. A reminder, everyone needs to remain seated.
Yeah, remain seated, Riley. Get prepared to eat.
Everyone needs to remain seated. Thank you. A tiger will typically gorge itself on a fresh kill, eating up to 40 pounds of meat in one sitting. That's like eating 160 hamburgers at once.
I think you like calling Richie to come by.
After a meal this size, a tiger typically won't eat again for several days. All tigers are currently endangered. Less than 3,000 survive in the wild, and as few as 1,000 are breeding females. So in 2006, WCS teamed up with Panthera, a wildcat conservation group, and launched the Tigers Forever initiative, with the ambitious goal of increasing tiger numbers by 50% over a 10-year period in 9 variety landscapes across Asia.
So from 1,000 to 1,500.
Here we have another better look at some of our gaur. In this area, it's the back part of our deer exhibit. The spotted deer you're going to see are the axis deer native to India and Sri Lanka. Most deer species start their life with a spotted coat, but the spots fade as they mature. The axis deer keep their spots their entire life, and we've exhibited them since 1899. This smaller deer species you're seeing here is actually not deer, they're actually the black-buck antelope. And they're dimorphic, meaning the males and females look different from one another. These deer you're seeing laying down here are actually the grown-up versions of the little tiny deer we saw in the exhibit, the Barasinga. They're also known as swamp deer because they inhabit swampy habitats. You can't really tell from all the way up here, but their hooves are splayed, which helps them walk over soggy ground without sinking in.
Tiger food.
Tiger food.
As we round this bend, I want you to imagine a pig with tusks that erupt from its snout and curve backward towards its eyes. This type of pig is a
So in other
barbaroussa.
words, my last girlfriend.
The tusks are in the pig's name. Barbaroussa means pig deer in the Malay language.
Oh, yes.
The tusks are used to display dominance, to attract
Big deer.
females, and to fight other males during the mating
deer.
season.
What? pig deer.
The Barbarossa has very little hair on its body, and the color of its skin allows it to blend in with the mud and rocks like the ones in the exhibit. The Barbarossa is endangered, and the WCS is helping them through their efforts in the wild and the breeding program here at the Bronx Zoo. And next we have our Asian elephants. Unfortunately, they're becoming one of the rarest animals on the planet. This is Patty and Maxine. They're both in their mid-40s and they weigh about 10,000 pounds. In addition to eating a variety of vegetation, Patty and Maxine consume about 200 pounds of hay each day and drink about 60 gallons of water. As you can see, they're quite close. They're best friends.
Look.
Wow.
I mean, they're fucking.
The trunk of the Asian elephant is an incredible tool. At the end of the trunk is a finger-like projection which allows them to pick up something as delicate as an egg without breaking it. And yet, the trunk contains 40,000 muscles, more than the entire human body. And the elephant's capable of ripping a tree out of the ground with incredible force using its trunk alone. Patty and Maxine get a lot of special attention here at the zoo, including baths and pedicures twice a week. The large tree you see to the left of their exhibit is an elephant-sized back scratcher. So they need those pedicures to stimulate the 30 miles that an elephant walks in the wild to find food. They don't get any nail polish though, they like the natural look. And here we're going to say hello to Callie, our Indian rhino.
I didn't see the pig deer.
All Indian rhinos are endangered. Less than 2,000 survive in
Yeah, it was
India
right. It was kind of in the front, right?
However, we've had great success with them here at the Bronx Zoo. We care for 5, and we've had 11 born here. Our newest calf was born in the summer of 2013. Callie was born in 1986 right here at the Bronx Zoo. A little bit of trivia for all you moms out here in honor of Mother's Day. An Indian rhino is pregnant for 16 months.
Wow.
And they give birth to calves that weigh 150 pounds. An Indian rhino calf may stay with its mother for about 2 to 3 years, although weaning only takes about 12 to 16 months. Now you may have noticed that Callie is just a little bit shy of spick and span. Now, there's a specific reason for that. Many people describe the rhino as being armor-plated, but in fact, a rhino has skin with many folds. It looks thick and tough, but in reality it's very sensitive skin and it requires protection from the sun and from insects. So one of the ways that Callie likes to protect her sensitive skin is to hang out in the mud wallows that you see in this exhibit. Coating her skin with mud provides a natural sunblock and insect repellent that protects her skin. Since Wild Asia opened in 1977, many rhinos have spent time stomping around throughout these mud wallows and shaping them to their liking. This is the original mud wallow we're passing right now. Now, one of the reasons that the Indian rhino is critically endangered is because they are often poached in the wild for their horns.
Why?
Enrichment is the term used to describe the wide variety of items and activities we provide for our animals to help keep them both physically and mentally active.
That's so weird. We probably drove
Keepers
by
might
the zoo on
spray
the highway
scents
there.
or hide food to encourage exploration. They may put out balls, boxes, or other so-called toys for animals to play with. Enrichment also includes husbandry training. Animals voluntarily.
The horn of a rhinoceros is very different from that of a goat or antelope. It is not attached to the skull. Rhino horn is made from compressed keratin fibers, the same material that is found in fingernails and hair. Although rhinos are a protected species, poaching still occurs. Rhinos are killed for their body parts, but some people believe that this horn had special medicinal powers. It is also used as an ingredient in some traditional Asian medicines, and the rhino horn is also prized in some cultures for making dagger handles.
So here we have several different species of deer. The short, stout deer we passed when we first entered the exhibit are the hog deer. Right in front of the train here we have the large chocolate brown deer are the sambar deer. Back against the back fence back there with the short horns are the nilgai antelope. Also, you can see a nilgai antelope in the middle of the exhibit between the two circular wrapped wires. Some more hog deer, the short, stout deer again. So a little bit about each of these deer species. Those huge brown deer, the sambar deer, the largest deer in southern Asia. Males can be 6 feet tall and weigh up to 5 feet tall and weigh 650 pounds. Their antlers can reach lengths of up to 3 feet with 3 points on each bar. And the males like to live alone while the females prefer to live in small groups. The hog deer get their name because they are short and stout like hogs. They also move like hogs. They like to creep, run low, and duck under things rather than leaping over things, like most deer like to do. When they're alarmed, they emit a whistling noise or a barking sound. They're native to Pakistan, eastern India, and southern mainland Asia. The nilgai antelope get their name because of the bluish-gray coloration of the male's fur. Nilgai means blue bull in Hindi. The females, on the other hand, are a yellow-brown color. Nilgai prefer to eat grass, but they'll also eat leaves, flowers, and fruits from trees. They stand on their hind legs to browse as high as possible, and they're the largest antelope species in Asia. We're now entering into the exhibit of the tufted deer native to China. The tufted deer is a small species of deer, only 40 pounds, fully grown. Much like the white-tailed deer of New York, they have a white rump, which is very important in deer communication. When the deer is alarmed, it raises its tail, showing a flash of white, which warns other deer in the area that they sense that there is danger or a predator nearby. This can be very important when a mother deer is signaling that her fawns should follow her in flight. These beautiful little deer are very rare in zoos outside of China. We're now crossing back over the Bronx River. If you look straight across, you can see where we began our journey. The Wildlife Conservation Society knows how important it is to keep the river and the corridor and greenway clean. If you want to learn more about the river, you can visit our Mitsubishi River Walkway located along the edge of Parking Area B. As we enter into our next exhibit, you can notice that the terrain is slightly different from the other exhibits we've been visiting thus far on our journey. The rocky terrain is perfect for our 2 species of wild goat, the markhor and the Himalayan tar. The markhor is one of the largest species of wild goat. They're the national animal of Pakistan, easily recognizable by the corkscrew-shaped horns and their long, luscious beards. All 3 species of markhor are either endangered or critically endangered because of illegal hunting, a loss of habitat, and competition from domestic goats and sheep. The markhor are well known for their agility and ability to leap large distances from standstill position. We also have the Himalayan tar. Both male and female tar have triangular-shaped horns that curve inwards and backwards, which prevents serious injury in the head-butting battles of mating season. And there's a Himalayan tar right in front of the train now. They have very special adaptations for life on the slopes of the Himalayas. Their hoof has a special rubbery core which helps them grip the rocks as they're climbing, much like the sole of a boot. Past this V-shaped tree, we enter the exhibit of our red panda. The red panda has always fascinated people with the color of their fur.
It's in the tree.
In Nepal, the red panda is known as hunho, which roughly translated means fire fox. The red panda was known to the Western world long before the famous giant black and white panda, and we now know that the 2 species are not very closely related. They're both referred to as pandas because they share a similar diet of almost exclusively bamboo, and the word panda means bamboo eater. However, the red panda is more closely related to skunks, weasels, and raccoons. If you want to see more red pandas, you can visit our Himalayan Highlands exhibit, located just a short walk from the Wild Asia monorail. There you can also visit one of Asia's famous big cats, the snow leopard.
We tried to go there.
Our journey's almost coming to an end. We are going to be making a scheduled stop just ahead. It's not where we're going to be exiting the monorail car, so I ask that you just remain seated. We'll be waiting there just for a moment while the train ahead of us loads up some gas.
Oh, so this means we're on the tarmac.
The train out for their next
It's like being on the tarmac of the airport. No!
I am going to use the next few minutes to tell you just a little bit more about us.
We want to help.
The Wildlife Conservation Society manages 5 parks in New York City, the Bronx Zoo, as you know, the New York Aquarium, the Central Park Zoo, the Prospect Park Zoo, and the Queens Zoo. We also have scientists in the field at more than 300 sites in over 50 countries.
She's asleep. Ah.
If you want to help us save wildlife, like the animals that you've been enjoying on your trip today, you can stop at the Zoo Center and apply today's ticket purchase towards a Wildlife Conservation Society membership. In return, you'll receive free entry to all 5 of our parks for an entire year. Plus, premium members receive free Bronx Zoo attractions, like the Wild Asia Monorail, free parking, an exclusive members-only t-shirt, and much, much more.
Ooh.